Welcome back to the show. We got a great one lined up. We don't want to waste any time. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. Has the crypto bull run begun? Oh, I'm going to tell you right now, it may have. Let's take a look at what we got here. $2.28 trillion market cap for crypto. The market is up 4.4%. How about that one? Bitcoin now $63,000 plus. It's up 5.5% on the 24-hour news. And why is that? Because Ethereum's up 5.9%. XRP's up 3.1% at 58 cents. You know, I think this is all based on what we understand, which is the Fed rate cuts, which just came in, ranging between 57 and 59 cents. We're at the top side of it. I like it. But, you know, Bitcoin usually moves first when we see rate cuts. Historically speaking, just like historically speaking over the last 6 to 8 times that we've seen 50 basis points cut by the Fed, we usually see a recession followed sometime thereafter. So head on a swivel for that. But it usually means positive things for assets like crypto assets. So, and gold, right? So listen, this could be us beginning. And if you've not been here in this space before, we want to watch, because if Bitcoin is in fact kicking off the bull cycle, as history has spoken to, then we may be also about to see the altcoins go nuts. Because usually a couple months before, weeks or a couple months before, Bitcoin goes crazy and then the altcoin market goes really crazy. So this could be the beginning of that. I don't know, but you know what? History says it may be. We'll watch to see what happens. 2 former high-level Coinbase employees are launching a cryptocurrency platform called TrueX that will use PayPal's stablecoin as its preferred token for transactions. Well, there was yesterday a barrage of information of stablecoins being launched, and we'll get to that in a second because I think it is a signal. I think it's a very big signal. We're probably one of the biggest users of blockchain, says Jamie Dimon. Now, he's called Crypto Pet Rocks, and he even says so in this, and there's nothing else to gain from listening to him babble. But he is being targeted as the next possible U.S. treasurer if Trump wins the race. Now, with that being said, he's changed his tune. Now, he still calls some cryptos pet rocks, but he's definitely changed his tune about the fact that, hey, if you want to let it live and make it something you can trade, buy, and sell and all that stuff, well, then go ahead. Tom Emmer, meanwhile, and Patrick McHenry slammed the SEC for classifying airdrops as securities, saying it blocks U.S. blockchain innovation. Why are free airdrops treated as securities while other reward programs like credit card points aren't? Or airline miles? It is ridiculous. There's no question about it. The part that really ridiculous is that these people in Congress can fix this, right? Well, look, to their point, Tom Emmer and Patrick McHenry have passed legislation from the House, along with Warren Davidson, who is now calling out the SEC, who has willfully undermined the ability to custody Bitcoin and other crypto because of the SAB 121 Act that was put through, because it was a way for Gary Gensler to weaponize the SEC with that rule that would stop banks from being able to custody crypto for their clients. Now, that is despicable in its face. And who would win favor for such a move like that, right? Who would you be doing that for? That's the question. And Gary Gensler's the one who needs the answer. French Hill did the same thing in the testimony of the committee yesterday. I don't need to play all of this, so I'm not going to. But he has been an advocate for crypto, and I want to salute him here because we need to know who the people are that need to be voted back in to get the innovation for America on track so we can really be a leader as we were with the birth of the internet. This is a massive, massive moment we are in. You're about to see why. UK Finance has announced the successful completion of regulated liability network experimentation phase. RLNs are the payment networks for the back end of the banking system. just like FedWire and TIPS and the rest of it, right? We know. But this is a big deal because these are the legitimate networks where they're moving money, and they're in experimentation phase, pioneering initiative, a pioneering initiative aimed at enhancing UK financial market infrastructure. Enhancing financial market infrastructure. I remind you, okay, now they're working with, alongside technology partners like R3 and Quant. R3 definitely has a connection to Ripple, and they have a bunch of XRP, but we don't know how much. They explored the potential of RLN and to revolutionize payments and settlements through tokenization and programmable payments. Tokenization means stable coins because you have to tokenize all the stocks, all the derivatives, right? We know the deal. Well, stable coins are becoming increasingly important to the global financial system. Yeah, we know that. What's interesting is that PayPal's going to have a stable coin. Tether's already got a stable coin leading the race, and they don't show anybody their reserves. Fireblock working with Chainlink, they're going to be doing stable coin issuance too. Revolut has announced they're going to be doing stable coin. We also know BitCo is going to be doing a stable coin. We also know Robinhood's going to be doing a stable coin. Are you kidding? Hello. I know you're hearing me. I know you're thinking exactly what I'm thinking too. This is what I love. What we're seeing now is the tell. This is the signal. This is the signal that tells all of us that we were right. They're going to allow for private issuance of stable coins because they know there's going to be a level of hyperinflation coming back home with US dollars and bonds. Write it down. USD Circle now available in Brazil and Mexico. They're continuing to kick butt. RLUSD is going to be launched on the Ethereum and XRP ledger within weeks, if not days. According to Ripple. Think of it. This is why it's a signal, and this is why we're looking at the rate cut possibly kicking off what would be a traditional and historic trend to see Bitcoin and then the alts, like we described in the beginning of this video, take off and do what they historically do. But this time, we're waiting for legislation. And should we get it, whether it's from this feckless Congress or Senate, or whether it's from the next one, we're going to have it because there's too many companies showing that they're going to be doing stable coins. This is going to bring more problems than it is solutions without legislative clarity. But with it, it brings a new financial system that operates more efficiently, and it begins to serve with a new use case for US dollars and bonds, which is the private issuance of digital dollars. And if you're highly regulated, federal or state level, because that's what they're arguing over here in the US, get it figured out, because we're going to need to pull those dollars and bonds back in a one-to-one issuance so we can actually have a true digital dollar on our phone in our digital wallet. Follow me? I think you do. It's exactly what I talked about with Chris Giancarlo on stage at XRP Las Vegas 2024. Yes, the former CFTC chairman who released Bitcoin futures because he understands this technology. Yes, the person who I believe is best suited to be the next SEC chair should we get a new administration. Let's take a listen.
This is a massive, massive piece of legislation that's going to be done when it gets done.
And don't get me wrong, I support the stablecoin bills.
Yes.
I would like to see the privacy protections enhanced.
Added in.
But I support them. And I support in fact, I'm on record of having supported a number of the bills. I was actually asked to put my support for the Senate bill in writing and presented to the Ag Committee, which I did last year.
Well, as both of us understand, there's a protocol world after all, right? And all of this happening, and multiple different kinds of stable coins obviously that exist, whether they're commodity stable coins, fiat-backed stable coins, derivatives, stocks, bonds, and so on. you look at that wide range of all of these things, and that just sounds like a giant new use case being created for the world here, and especially if you go back to the dollar stable coins and you allow this private issuers, like financial institutions, to have this granted access to create a Bank of America stable coin, a PNC or a Wells Fargo, right? So if we have these new use cases for these digital dollars, those entities will be required to have a qualified custodian and hold one-to-one or a surplus. But we're in a situation right now, Chris, where, at home, domestically, and geopolitically, there are a lot of things headed towards an intersection that doesn't look very healthy for us. Just speak to that moment, what that looks like from your digital dollar project chair.
Yeah, it's funny. History is a series of contractions and expansions. If you look at the U.S. approach to money, during the 19th century, it was a very expansive notion. We had states issuing currencies, we had railroad companies issuing currencies, you had mines issuing currencies, and you had the federal government issuing currencies. And then we went through a period of high restriction, which reached an apogee in the 1930s when the Roosevelt administration actually banned ownership of gold. Everything had to be based on a federal notion of value. We've expanded that once again. We have a much more liberal approach to that, and we're in a global world where there's many different instruments of value that are competing.
So now I feel that the stage is truly set for something like XRP Ledger as a decentralized exchange. XRP serving as a bridge currency where applicable, not in this you have to use it, but only where it's applicable and it actually is more efficient to do so. It is clear to me that this is where the world is going. We know that Nellie Liang said this.
Made important changes to the market infrastructure. The last few years, Treasury and the financial regulators, consulting with industry, have made important changes to the market infrastructure.
Ripple is a blockchain infrastructure company, and they're always at these high-level meetings. Always, not sometimes, always. Domestically here at home, as you can see sitting one seat away from Nellie Liang, who you just said, they've been working with enterprises to put together a new market infrastructure for the U.S. Treasury. The same U.S. Treasury that Board of Director of Ripple, Rosie Rios, sits on. The 43rd Treasurer, ladies and gentlemen. The same Board of Directors that Craig Phillips was on. The same Ripple company that Michael S. Barr was an advisor to. The same one that Susan Friedman still works at. Yeah, that same one that's about to launch the real USD digital dollar on Ethereum network and the XRP ledger in days, if not weeks at the most. That same one. And when they get legislative clarity and this case is done and out of the way, and by the way, head on a swivel, this case may be done and out of the way. Because the SEC has admitted in the Binance case in a footnote that the term crypto asset security is a false term that they made up. They've been ruining lives and companies since they made the term up. But they may have signaled in that footnote that they've given up the reason for their fight, because that has been the argument for their fight. We don't know. We'll have to wait and see if the SEC is going to appeal. But in the next 48 days, we're going to find out what's going on with the U.S. elections. We already know that there's been a fine put in escrow from the SEC versus Ripple case. We also know we're waiting on crypto legislation, which does not look likely that we'll get it this year, but we'll see. It also waiting for the real USD to be launched on Ethereum and the XRP ledger. Will the SEC appeal? We're going to find out. We're days away from finding out, just a handful of weeks. And will we see more rate cuts from the U.S. Fed? Because they're talking about the 0.5 point that they already cut, and they're talking about another 0.75 point before the year's over. And it may be in November when it happens. That's how bad things are getting, and that's why there's so many stable coins being launched, and that's why I believe legislation's got to come sooner than later, because they can't afford to wait no matter how much they act like they can. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. That's where we are on this day. I'll catch all of you on the next one.